Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is VC Pramod with the Midday News. The headlines. Government stresses on providing equity and access to COVID-19 vaccines to mitigate impact of coronavirus pandemic. India's COVID-19 vaccination drive touches 12 crore mark. More than 234,000 new cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in last 24 hours. 10 states account for over 79% of new cases. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to keep further processions of Kumbh Mela symbolic in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Polling progressing smoothly for fifth phase of assembly elections in West Bengal. Voting also underway simultaneously for by-elections to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 assembly constituencies spread over 9 states. Noted Tamil actor Vivek passes away in Chennai. And in Ipl Cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Sunrisers Hyderabad at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, follow all precautions, and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And other news in detail. The government has stressed on providing equity and access to COVID-19 vaccines to mitigate the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Harshvardhan urged the global community to collaborate in research and development and manufacturing of vaccines for speedy distribution to everyone across the world. The minister was sharing his views virtually at the Economic and Social Council Special Ministerial meeting on the topic A Vaccine for All.
Equity in access to the vaccine is important for mitigating the impact of the pandemic. The disparity calls for international cooperation within the framework of COVAX and secure vaccine doses for poorest nations. We should collaborate on genomic surveillance to track virus mutations and exchange information in a timely fashion.
Highlighting the country's effort in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, the health minister said India has been at the forefront of the global fight against the pandemic. He said 2 indigenous vaccines have been granted emergency use authorization and 20 vaccine candidates are under development. He said the government is committed to provide vaccines to its citizens. Terming misinformation as a big challenge, he said vaccine hesitancy can be curtailed by providing scientific facts which will allay the fears of the public.
We need to prevent spreading of misinformation to overcome vaccine hesitancy by providing scientific facts to allay the fears of the public. Public health infrastructure and capacities of health workers in vaccine delivery should be strengthened.
Dr. Harshvardhan said India has made significant contributions in supplying vaccines to various vaccine alliances like Gavi and COVAX.
Under our Vaccine Maitri or Vaccine Friendship Initiative, India has provided vaccines to more than 80 countries across the world. We have gifted 2 lakh doses for UN peacekeepers. India is a significant source of supply to Gavi's COVAX facility.
India has achieved the landmark of administering over 12 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine so far. The Union Health Ministry said more than 30,04,000 doses were given to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. The ministry said 2,34,692 new cases have been reported in the country in the past 24 hours, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1 crore 45 lakh. 1,341 deaths have also been reported, taking the toll to over 1,75,000 across the country so far. Government has said that more than 79% of the new COVID-19 cases have been reported in 10 states. These states are Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. Union Health Ministry said Maharashtra has reported the highest daily new cases at 63,729. It is followed by Uttar Pradesh with over 27,000, while Delhi reported more than 19,486 new cases. The 5 states of Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka and Kerala cumulatively account for over 65% of India's total active cases.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today appealed to keep further processions of Kumbh Mela as symbolic in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister also spoke to Swami Avdeshanand Giri and requested that the Kumbh Mela should now only be symbolic as 2 Shahi Snans have already concluded. Mr. Modi said it will strengthen the fight against the pandemic. In his telephonic conversation, the Prime Minister also inquired about the health of the saints and thanked them for all kind of cooperation to the administration. Meanwhile, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Avdeshanand Giri has urged people to follow the COVID guidelines and not to come to the Kumbh in large numbers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken a comprehensive review to ensure adequate supply of medical oxygen in the country. Mr. Modi has asserted that it is important to ensure synergy across ministries and state governments to maintain adequate supply of oxygen. He said he has directed to increase production of medical oxygen to fulfill the growing demands. The Prime Minister took a detailed review of the present situation of medical oxygen supply and its estimated demands in the 12 states, which are witnessing a rapid rise in the coronavirus cases.
Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik is in favour of making COVID-19 vaccines available in the open market. In a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Odisha Chief Minister said the availability of COVID-19 vaccines outside the government supply chain will enable willing citizens to access the vaccines. Mr. Patnaik said this in turn will enable governments to have a focused approach towards the vulnerable sections of the society. We have a report.
Mr. Patnaik has further drawn the attention of the Prime Minister to certain suggestions that may help ease the availability constraints of COVID-19 vaccines. The suggestions include giving approval to COVID vaccines already approved globally by credible agencies, supporting vaccine manufacturing units of the country to ramp up production, and relaxation of age criteria for priority vaccination of the people of a few metropolitan cities which now carry a heavy COVID burden. Meanwhile, Odisha has already administered more than 46 lakh doses of vaccines to the eligible citizen. On the other hand, COVID-19 active caseload of the state has further jumped to around 20,000 with 3,144 new cases in the last 24 hours. Girish Chandra Das, EIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Delhi is under weekend curfew in view of the surge in COVID-19 cases in the national capital. The weekend lockdown will be lifted at 5 a.m. on Monday. It came into force from 10 p.m. yesterday. Only essential services are exempted from the lockdown restrictions. Police pickets have been placed at various places in the city for checking of vehicles and movement of people. Earlier, a 7-hour night curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. was imposed in Delhi, which will remain there in the weekdays till the 30th of this month. Delhi police have started a helpline to facilitate movement passes for eligible persons. The helpline number is 011-234-69900.
The Delhi government has appointed senior officers to supervise all government and private hospitals of the national capital to ensure the needy get adequate level of COVID care. The officers will be overall in charge of the COVID-19 hospital assigned to them and will exercise general superintendence, directions and control over the functioning of the hospital. Medical Superintendent, Managing Director and Director of the hospital will obtain concurrence of all decisions relating to COVID management from the respective nodal officer. Delhi Health Secretary Amit Singla has written a letter to the city hospitals in this regard. The name and phone number of nodal officer will be displayed at prominent places in the hospital. With the growing number of COVID patients day by day in Uttar Pradesh, the state government has decided to establish 10 oxygen plants for unabated supply of oxygen to the hospitals. A team of DRDO officials will help the state administration in this task. On the other hand, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited will help state administration in preparing a new all-facility COVID hospital in Lucknow. Meanwhile, the state will undergo a 35-hour complete closure from 8 this evening till 7 a.m. morning on Monday to control the spread of the virus.
In Bihar, an all-party meeting is underway in Patna to discuss the COVID-19 situation. This meeting is being chaired by Governor Phagu Chauhan. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, Deputy Chief Minister Tarkishore Prasad and representatives of LJP, Congress and left parties are participating in this meeting. In Chhattisgarh, about 15,000 new cases of COVID-19 have been detected during the last 24 hours. With this, the total number of COVID-19 cases in Chhattisgarh mounted to over 5,16,000. Currently, over 1,24,000 people are being treated in hospitals or in home isolation. According to the data given by the state government, 138 people died from corona infection during the last 24 hours. More from our Raipur correspondent.
In view of the increasing number of corona-infected patients in Chhattisgarh, the state government has decided to reserve 50% of total beds in private hospitals for COVID patients. Steps are also being taken to prevent the spread of corona infection in the state from persons coming back from other states. Quarantine centers are being set up in rural areas. In Raipur district, quarantine centers have been set up in all 417 Gram Panchayat. Meanwhile, South Eastern Coalfields Limited has provided one RT-PCR machine and 2 deep freezers to Bilaspur Medical College. Officers and employees of Dhamda Tehsil Office of Durg District have donated 2 oxygen concentrators to the Dhamda COVID Care Center. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
In Maharashtra, State Surveillance Officer Dr. Pradeep Avate has said that double mutations of COVID-19 are responsible for fueling the transmission in some areas of Maharashtra. Over the past few weeks, cases of corona have been raging, putting a massive burden on the health machinery in the state. More in this report from our Mumbai correspondent.
Talking to AIR, Dr. Avate said that the health experts are observing some mutations change in the whole genomic sequencing of coronavirus in Maharashtra. He said the state had sent around 3,000 samples of genomic sequencing, which were examined in 10 different laboratories of the country. He said out of the total samples, 83 samples have shown double mutations in Vidarbha and other regions of the state. The senior health official said that double mutations are known for their characteristics of increased transmission and also for bypassing the antibodies response in the host. He underlined that more studies on the new variants need to be conducted to find out whether double mutations are responsible for surge in COVID cases in the state. However, he said that among the other factors, new variant is the main cause of increased transmission rate in Maharashtra. With Jeevan Bhavsar, this is Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Telangana is likely to see a peak in the daily COVID cases by the first week of next month. Talking to AIR News, State Director Public Health Dr. G. Srinivas Rao said the spread of COVID in the second wave is rampant, stating that the Telangana government has geared up to tackle the situation. Dr. Srinivas Rao said decentralized treatment protocols. He reiterated that the spread of COVID second wave can be contained only by following COVID-appropriate behavior and getting vaccination.
There is no dearth of the infrastructure, there is no dearth of the beds. People need not to be panicked, but should be very cautious, especially for the coming 4 to 6 weeks, because we are going to see a peak in the coming weeks. Till such time, we should be careful. We should follow the COVID-appropriate behavior, especially whenever you go out, you please wear the mask and also maintain social distance and also sanitize your hands on regular intervals.
In Ladakh, 245 new positive cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the Union Territory in the past 24 hours, and 47 patients were discharged after recovering from the infection. Our correspondent has filed this report.
With increase in arrival of people from different parts of the country, the graph of new COVID positive cases is climbing up. Just 46 active cases on 1st March now gone up to 1,363 with 1,295 in Leh district alone. While reviewing the alarming COVID situation in Union Territory, Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur instructed to go for 100% testing of inbound passengers at entry point. Leh District Disaster Management Authority Chairman Shrikant Sused directed Border Road Organization and Contractor Association in Leh to ensure that COVID protocols are adhered and laborers are tested and isolated upon found positive. With Ramesh Chandra, this is Yangchan Dolma for AIR News from Leh, Ladakh.
Railways will impose a fine of up to 500 rupees for not wearing face masks in trains and station premises. The decision has been taken in line with the preventive measures taken by the Centre against the coronavirus disease. Railway Ministry has written a letter to the general managers of all the zonal railway in this regard. It said Railways is taking various measures to contain the spread of the resurgence of COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Centre. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Government stresses on providing equity in access to COVID-19 vaccines to mitigate impact of coronavirus pandemic. India's COVID-19 vaccination drive touches 12 crore mark. More than 2,34,000 new cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in the last 24 hours. 10 states account for over 79% of new cases. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to keep further processions of Kumbh Mela symbolic in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Polling progressing smoothly for fifth phase of assembly elections in West Bengal. Voting also underway simultaneously for by-elections to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 assembly constituencies spread over 9 states. Noted Tamil actor Vivek passes away in Chennai. And in Ipl Cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Sunrisers Hyderabad at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Polling is progressing smoothly amid tight security for the fifth phase of assembly elections in West Bengal. Voting is taking place for 45 seats spread over 6 districts in this phase. 54.67% voter turnout has been recorded till 1:30 p.m. The polling will continue till 6:30 p.m. No major untoward incident has been reported so far. Over 1 crore 13 lakh voters are deciding the fate of 319 candidates in this phase. In all, 15,789 polling stations have been set up for the purpose. The state is witnessing 8-phase elections. In this phase, Bharatiya Janata Party is contesting in all the 45 seats which are going to polls, while the ruling AITC is contesting 42 seats. Congress, left parties and their alliance partner Indian Secular Front are fighting under the banner of Sanjukta Morcha. BSP has fielded 32 candidates, CPI-M 25, Congress 11, AIFP 2, RSP, NPP and CPI 1 each, while there are 83 independents along with 76 others also in the fray. All necessary facilities and security arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polling during this phase. Voter verifiable paper audit trail is being used along with electronic voting machine at every polling station with a view to enhance the transparency and credibility of the election process. Now we go live to our correspondent Sudhindra, who is at Damdama Assembly constituency, to get an update. Sudhindra, how is the voter turnout now, and what are the arrangements at the polling stations in the fifth phase?
Yes, Valsa, see, over in the fifth phase, the voting percentage at 1 o'clock was over 51%, and brisk voting is seen in various booths of Bidhan Nagar and Damdam assembly segments where I have visited since morning. You know, hot sun and COVID risk have not discouraged voters from coming to vote. And I could also see many wearing masks at the booths. Thermal guns were used to check the temperature of the voters, and they were also offered sanitizers before voting. Valsa.
Right. Sudhindra, tell us about the prominent candidates contesting in this phase.
Valsa, you know, a tough electoral battle is seen in West Bengal, and some of the prominent candidates in the fifth phase polling include the ministers in the present cabinet, Bhatyo Basu, who is from TMC and who is contesting from Damdam, and Sujit Bose, who is contesting from Bidhan Nagar, and former mayor of Bidhan Nagar, Sabyasachi Datta, he is contesting from BJP, and former minister Madan Mitra, again from TMC, is then there is Siliguri mayor Ashok Bhattacharya from CPM, who is contesting from Siliguri, and Somik Bhattaji from BJP from Rajarhat, Gopalpur, Valsa.
Thank you, Sudhindra, for all those details. Polling is being held in 3 districts of North Bengal, including Kalimpong, Darjeeling and Jalpaiguri district in the fifth phase. Now we go live to our correspondent Manas Pratim Sarma, who is at Darjeeling, to get an update on the polling there. Manas, how is the polling progressing there, and what measures have been taken in view of the surge in the COVID-19 cases?
Well, Balsa, polling is progressing very peacefully and smoothly here at Darjeeling. I am right now standing outside the Himalayan Kala Kendra polling booth. Since morning, I visited several polling stations and I have noticed participation of all sections of voters with enthusiasm. You know, here Nepali New Year is going on. So I have also noticed some of the voters have come wearing their traditional dresses, so that makes the atmosphere more colorful. Now, coming to the corona measures, yes, all preventive measures have been taken by the district administration, by the election commission. Face masks is mandatory, of course. All the concerned voters, I have seen they have coming wearing face masks. Hand gloves were given while they entering to the polling station. Thermal screening is being done by health supervisors. Apart from that, I have noticed there are 3 rows, one for male, another for female voters, and the third one is senior citizens. Apart from them, for the Divyang voters, they have provisions of ramps, wheelchairs are being given whenever required, and also the transportation facilities. So we will also say that all these measures also help in preventing the contamination of the COVID-19 here. Back to you.
Right, Manas, also tell us what kind of security arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polling.
Regarding security measures, there is a concern that what happened at Coach Bihar district in the 4th phase, that should not be repeated again. That was very unfortunate event. So all the security measures have been taken, not only here in Darjeeling district, but overall in all the 3 districts of North Bengal. So I spoke to the senior officials of the Darjeeling district administration. They said no untoward incident, no law and order issues have been reported anywhere in the district. Let me tell you, all the polling booths are being covered by the Central Armed Police Forces. I visited the polling booth. I met them. They said all the precautionary measures have been taken and polling is going on very peacefully. Apart from that, in Darjeeling district, nearly 900 polling stations are being also covered by webcasting facilities. There are 481 micro observers who are keep roaming in the entire district to ensure a peaceful and error-free polling. Apart from that, there are zonal magistrates, there are zonal and sector police officials. So all these senior officials are trying their best to ensure free, fair and peaceful polling. As of now, there is no untoward incident has been reported anywhere from the Darjeeling district. Back to you.
Thank you, Manas, for that update.
Voting is also underway simultaneously for by-elections to 2 Lok Sabha seats, including Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh and Belagaum in Karnataka, along with 12 assembly constituencies spread over 9 states. The assembly constituencies where by-polls are being held include 3 in Rajasthan, 2 in Karnataka and 1 each in Gujarat, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Mizoram, Telangana and Uttarakhand. There are 151 candidates in the fray for 12 assembly seats, indicating largely multi-cornered contests. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged people to vote in large numbers today in the 5th phase of West Bengal Assembly elections. He said the first-time voters in particular should exercise their franchise. Mr. Modi added that there are by-polls taking place in different parts of the country and asked voters in the seats to vote in record numbers and strengthen the festival of democracy.
The election campaign is gaining momentum for the remaining 3 phases of assembly elections in West Bengal. Leaders of various political parties are holding election rallies and roadshows today. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public meeting at Asansol of Paschim Bardhaman. Mr. Modi promised to implement all the welfare schemes of the central government in West Bengal if the BJP is elected to power in the state. Home Minister Amit Shah is attending a roadshow in Amdanga Assembly segment of North 24 Parganas. On the other hand, Trinamool Congress Chief Mamata Banerjee has accused the BJP of spreading falsehood. She was addressing a public meeting at Galsi of East Bardhaman district. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid homage to former Prime Minister Chandrasekhar on his Jayanti. He said Chandrasekhar was respected across party lines for his simplicity and commitment to social empowerment.
Famous Tamil film actor and Padma Shri awardee Vivek passed away in Chennai this morning. He was 60 years old. He was admitted to a private hospital yesterday following a massive heart attack. An incredible comedian, Vivek had entertained people of Tamil Nadu for over 3 decades through his 200-plus films. A disciple of former President Abdul Kalam, Vivek was involved in afforestation and other social welfare activities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the demise of the actor. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said his comic timing and intelligent dialogues entertained people. Prime Minister said both in his films and in life, his concern for the environment and society shone through. India has undertaken various steps in the conservation of migratory species. In February last year, India hosted the 13th Conference of Parties to the Convention on Migratory Species, CMS. India was able to successfully list Asian elephant, Great Indian bustard and Bengal florican to the Appendix 1 of the CMS for cooperative action from the range countries of these species.
In Ipl Cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Sunrisers Hyderabad at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. The match will begin at 7:30 p.m. In the 8th tie of the tournament last night, Chennai Super Kings comfortably defeated Punjab Kings by 6 wickets at Wankhede Stadium. In Mumbai, put into bat first, Punjab scored a paltry 106 runs for 8 wickets in the 20 overs. Chennai easily chased down the moderate target in just 15.4 overs, losing 4 wickets. Now let us take a look at the weather report and forecast for today. National capital Delhi is having a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The maximum temperature will be around 37 degrees Celsius. The minimum was 19 degrees. Mumbai with a clear sky is likely to see a maximum temperature of around 34 degrees, rising from a lower level of 22 degrees. Kolkata having a partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder and lightning. The city temperature will move from a minimum of 27 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 36. Chennai is witnessing partly cloudy sky. The upper limit of temperature will be 35 degrees while the lower limit was 26 degrees. Srinagar is facing generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 7 and 12 degrees. Jammu is having thunderstorm with rain. The temperature will rise from a minimum of 16 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 30 degrees. Leh with generally cloudy sky and the upper limit of temperature will be around 13 from a minimum of 2 degrees Celsius. Gilgit is having generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle, while temperature will move from a minimum of 11 to a maximum of 18 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is having rain. The temperature will increase from a minimum of 9 degrees to a maximum of around 12 degrees. Dehradun experienced partly cloudy sky in the morning hours, becoming generally cloudy sky towards evening or night with possibility of rain or thunder showers accompanied with squall or hail. The upper limit of temperature will be around 35 degrees from minimum 18 degrees. Chandigarh, the sky is generally cloudy. Temperature is likely to rise to 30 degrees Celsius from 21 degrees. Today at 5 in the evening, Indian skies could witness yet another celestial event. This evening, a crescent moon comes in between Earth and red planet Mars to result in a rare celestial event visible to the naked eye from the Earth. Indian Astronomical Observatory Hanley in charge director Funsok said around 5:30 in the evening today, the occultation begins when the crescent moon directly comes in between Earth and Mars. The occultation begins as the moon hides the red planet looking like a shiny dot. The lunar occultation of Mars would continue for nearly 90 minutes. Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Government stresses on providing equity and access to COVID-19 vaccines to mitigate impact of coronavirus pandemic. India's COVID-19 vaccination drive touches 12 crore mark. More than 2,34,000 new cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in the last 24 hours. 10 states account for over 79% of new cases. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to keep further processions of Kumbh Mela symbolic in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Polling progressing smoothly for 5th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal. Voting also underway simultaneously for by-elections to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 assembly constituencies spread over 9 states. Noted Tamil actor Vivek passes away in Chennai. And in IPL Cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Sunrisers Hyderabad at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the midday news.